We're counting down the top 10 college football players in the race for the Heisman. All, of course, presented to you by our friends over at Eckrich. This is a list that starts with number 10 here, running back from Clemson, Travis Etienne. This is a guy, he's averaging 8.7 yards per carry. He's just 400 yards from the national lead in total rushing yards, but he has 105 fewer carries than those guys up at the top ahead of him. He is a dynamic playmaker, obviously an elite grade, up there in terms of the national lead in terms of broken tackles or missed tackles forced. As well, Etienne is a guy who gets it done. Hasn't even really needed to play much of the second half as well, so his numbers could be even higher. The Tigers, though, are on a roll. More on the Clemson Tigers in a little bit here. Moving on, just above Travis Etienne is J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State, a guy who will likely lose first place or even second place votes to another guy in his own backfield. We'll get to him in a bit as well. But Dobbins is a guy who's fifth nationally in total rushing yards, averaging 7.0 yards per attempt, setting career highs in all of our PFF advanced metrics for Dobbins in terms of missed tackles, forced, yards after contact, a highlight reel waiting to happen. Probably the best stiff arm in all of college football as well, resides in Columbus. He'll be needed to close out the rest of the schedule for OSU for sure. Number 8 on the list as well. If you haven't heard about him or you haven't seen him play football, Tyler Huntley is the nation's leader in adjusted completion percentage to every single level of the field. He's not just a short area passer. He can throw the ball down the field and does it with relative ease. The Utah offense is a little bit different, but Huntley is elite and deserving of every single stitch of praise we can give him nationally. Tyler Huntley in the Heisman discussion for sure for the Utes. Number 7 on the list, I said we'd talk a little bit more about him. Trevor Lawrence here, 9 games of above average grades this season, really getting away from that rough start he had. 3 game grades in a row of 90 plus at least. This guy truly looking like perhaps the best quarterback in college football if he wasn't named Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence is sliding up and the Heisman ranking is sliding up. Obviously going to be the odds-on favorite for next year's race. Likely can't win it this year, but definitely deserving of this spot in the top 10. Number 6 on our list, Justin Herbert. Potential matchup there in the Pac-12 title is Justin Herbert versus Tyler Huntley. Again, that game would probably be one of the better games you'd see in all of college football. Justin Herbert, though, 9 straight games with well above average grades from us, doing everything that you would expect him to, reaching all sorts of career highs, surpassing the levels we saw of him in 2017 that had him as the potential first overall pick in the draft class when he decided to come out. Justin Herbert, very, very great player for the Ducks, has them rolling. Doesn't have quite the receiving core that the rest of the guys may have in terms of the national prowess at quarterback position, but has the best line in college football and has been very, very sharp from a clean pocket going forward. Number 5 on the list, takes a little bit of a ding, moves up in the rankings though, just by proxy with the Tua Tagovailoa injury. Jalen Hurts come from behind victory against Baylor. As great as that was, you have to also note he was the reason they were down 4 turnovers in the game as well. But he gets it done, has another Heisman-worthy performance in the second half against Baylor, big-time game. He had 663 yards on designed carries, over 1,000 yards on the ground as well. Lincoln Riley can coach him up and can very well put an offense to his quarterback's skill set, doing exactly that in 2019 with Hurts. Number 4 on our list, again, another Buckeye, Justin Fields. This guy is the only quarterback in the country with at least 17 touchdowns and fewer than 2 interceptions on passes targeted at least 10 or more yards down the field. Fields is this guy. If he is a dual threat quarterback, he is the best dual threat passer in the country. This guy is actually in the race for the best passer in all of college football. Needed again, he'll be tested against Penn State, Michigan, and then likely the Big Ten champion on the other, or co-champion, so to speak, in the championship game. Fields has to come up big, but we have seen it. He is a downfield elite passer, an athletic guy with the ball in his hands as well, running this Ryan Day offense perfectly in Columbus. Getting to the top 3, Chuba Hubbard. If you haven't heard about him, I don't know where you've been living under a rock. This guy leads the country nationally in rushing yards, and actually his yards after contact figure would rank 9th in total rushing yards if they were just what he was being graded upon. Chuba Hubbard has probably the lower run blocking grade among the nation's average as well in terms of the blocking in front of him. So what he's doing a lot of it on his own, single-handedly here, running that Cowboy offense. Chuba Hubbard is every bit a top Heisman candidate. The return of the 3rd Buckeye on the list, number 2, Chase Young. If there's a defensive player that could win the Heisman this year, or any years outside of Charles Woodson, it is Chase Young. This guy, the highest graded player in all of college football, regardless of defense, offense, or any position. winning a vast majority of his pass rushes. Still, that figure of 31.5 pass rush win rate is the tops in the country. He comes back after a 2-game suspension, and we'll have the Penn State and Michigan offensive lines to go up against and really pit how well prepared he is for the end of the season, but also for the NFL, the next level. Number 1 on the list, no surprise at all, Broadway Joe Burrow, Burreaux. This guy lights out, another Heisman-worthy performance. Every week it seems like doing everything right and everything possible to not only win some hardware at the end of the year, but also maybe win and bring a national championship back to LSU. Burrow, though, the nation's leader in grade and just about every statistic you could find when targeting passes past the first down stick. So those NFL throws, those throws down the field, he's 110 of 154, 71.4% completion percentage, 2,352 yards and 31 touchdowns on throws targeted past the first down stick. The nation's leader in all of those categories. The nation's leader basically in any sort of PFF advanced stat you could find going forward. Burrow is the man to beat for the Heisman and obviously topping our charts and everybody's across the country. But there it is, the top 10 names you'll hear for the Heisman as we close out the 2019 regular season in college football. Of course, this list is presented to you by Eckrich. Go to EckrichFootball.com and make sure you sign up for the $1 million challenge for your chance to throw for $1 million.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.